The ongoing war in Ukraine continues to fill the media with dreadful headlines and a sense of unending escalation. Without doubt, the actions of Russia have alienated most of us in the West. However, they say not to judge a country by its leaders, but by its citizens. At the start of the war, I spoke to Julia Romanenkova, a Russian national, to get an alternative perspective of the conflict. Julia has had a successful career in finance and banking and runs an educational charity in the UK called Mathematics. Here is what she had to say.
Hi, my name is Julia Romanenkova. I was born in Moscow. I moved to the UK 9 years ago, and I've been working in banking and finance for entire life. And we had the funds to buy the property and move to UK for children, to give them the better life, to give them the education and the chance to have a different culture.
Why was a better life perceived in the UK versus Russia?
I believe that the Western culture, democracy, can give my children more freedom to do in life whatever they want to do and to achieve happiness and success by easiest way.
Do you think also, though, that the opportunity you had in Russia was a kind of once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because presumably you benefited from the change in society?
Under Gorbachev time, we had an opportunity to be heard and to have a hope that our country could be democratic and that we can have the election like every country has in Europe or United States. That's give me the hope, Gorbachev and Yeltsin, that we could be different, but we can follow our own way to achieve what we want to achieve.
So do you think your hopes for Russia as a young Soviet-born citizen were taken away from you in the subsequent Putin era?
Many people, they accept the way Putin ran the country, decided just to follow that idea, not struggling. You know that Russian people, by nations, they're happy what they're having. They can't be happy if they suffer from something.
Today, how do you identify?
Yeah, my identity is the Russian woman who changed her culture, moving to the West country. I grew up on a village with my grandmother, and my grandmother taught me to live in peace and love, to accept every punishment, just to be polite girl to enemy and to the friends.
So to be humble.
To be humble, yes. Mm-hmm. That's actually, I believe, it's all Russian culture. It's better to accept than just to fight for it.
And in a way, is this key to understanding the situation now, if that makes them easier to manipulate?
The characteristic of Russian people in terms of demand and satisfaction of living, we are all different. We have a lot of connection between Russia and Ukraine because we are one nationalities. That is why it's become so painful to all of us. No one can predict that it could even happen. When the Western country shouted from every TV, from every mass media, that Putin will invade, and we have troops at the border, yes, he will invade. It was like a mantra. And from the other side, Kremlin, Putin and everyone just shouted that we are not going to invade, we are not going to invade. It was like two different parties.
Who did you believe?
I believed to Putin that he wouldn't invade to Ukraine.
So do you think that Putin was right to believe that the Ukrainians were the aggressor in this situation?
I think that European country like Biden and NATO manipulate to Zelensky. They make him as a tool to provoke Putin and all of this regime and the Kremlin. It's difficult to say who was right or who was wrong in this situation.
But tell me, Julia, why do you think then, if you were convinced that Putin was sincere, that he wasn't going to invade Ukraine just 2 days before, why do you think he did?
I didn't believe that he could invade. And I tried to find an explanation, why do I believe? No economical reason, no interest, nothing. But I'm not a politician. I didn't think too further up about the strategically, security and everything, because I live here. I don't feel insecure living here. But maybe for Russians, for Putin, It was really scaring to hear all of these fears. For Putin, it was the way to protect his country against the threats of NATO extension to Ukraine. Because you know that actually 100 kilometers, and we have NATO on the border with Latvia and Estonia. Ukraine just, I think, was the last brick.
So, do you think that the Russian invasion of Ukraine is legitimate? A few days after this interview, the Russian government passed a law criminalising what they called false information about the conflict. Russians convicted of this face prison sentences of up to 15 years. To protect Julia's insights from being misinterpreted, we've decided to remove this section of the interview. This obviously has quite personal ramifications, this conflict. You know, you're speaking with feeling, and I just wondered if you could say a little bit more about how it affects you personally.
I have a lot of friends who has been living here 20, 15 years, and they are scared. Everyone who lives abroad, not in Russia, could be treated as an enemy to Russia. All of the sanction against Russian people doesn't show the friendship to the people who has been living here for a long time. They said they're going to limit the amount I can have on my accounts. 30 years ago, I bought the flat for my grandmother.
Yeah.
This flat belonged to me. 2 days ago, the Putin signed the law that none of the non-resident of Russia are able to sell the property without the permission. It means that all the property which belongs to a Russian who lives abroad could be withdrawn. When the Western country put the sanction of Russian capital, he wants to reply on it. To put the sanction of non-resident funds, equity, property, which based in Russia.
So you understand it?
I don't think it's fair, because I think the only one right which gives a democratic country, it's the right for private property. And when the Western country put the sanction on Russian capital, they withdraw with this right.
Do you feel sympathetic to Putin's decision to...
How can I be sympathetic to this decision? I work hard, I risk my life, I risk my wealth, and now I have a lot of fears. It's not his property. You know that he is too far from the real, ordinary people to think of them. And now all of these Western sanctions, they're like shooting onto the air. It doesn't reach him completely.
What do you think is going to happen over the next few months? What's your prediction?
It's hard to predict. I would love to believe that all of this war will be ended soon. They have to come and sit at one table and list the solution for both of them. Someone should pay for it, because you know it was a lot of disruption made in Ukrainian. As an economist, as the person who lost many times in different crises, there are not even one person in the world who wants to lose continuously. We all want to win. We all want to be happy and rich. And all of this long-lasting war not benefit to any country at all. My prediction, it should be the settlements or between two countries. But unfortunately, I don't believe that Russian army, Russian regime will accept to lose. It's no chance for any of them to accept that they lost something. And everyone in Europe understands it. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.